Hello my friends, so I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. And in today's session, I have channeled the Pleiadians to primarily ask about three things in particular, which are as follows. The first thing that I have asked about is, what happens after the 8th density level of consciousness. Now we all know that, there are levels of consciousness of learning in this illusion in which we exist, and as far as I know, we are currently entering into the 4th density. So I wanted to know, okay, like what happens after we cross through all the levels, after we learn the lessons of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then we merge with the one infinite creator in the 8th density as per the previous teachings I have received. So I wanted to know, okay, like what happens after the 8th density consciousness, because I found it really fascinating. And the answer is like beyond imagination, because this was like really weird and also really interesting, because I think you'll understand what they meant in the session if you listen closely. The other thing that I've asked about is like, what are the monoliths or the pillars, which have been spotted, around the world. And there have been, several incidents wherein the monoliths, they have appeared in some place, like without any like signs of how it came there. Okay, like it was on the news many a times. I've seen it. And also, there were a lot of people, who were talking about, how the monoliths, came about, right? Like there was no explanation, and there was a lot of speculation that it could be extraterrestrial technology. And many a times, all of these monoliths, they were taken down by the, I don't know, by some people. Maybe they didn't want us to find out what they were really meant to do. So I have asked about that as well, and the explanation of this monolith aspect is also really interesting, and I learned a lot from this aspect as well. The other one that I found really interesting was, the Pleiadians, they shared with us how in the month of April, something like amazing is about to happen. And not only that, like how we can become ready for it. So they share a story, okay, an example of a story of an entity who was able to use this method to directly graduate into the 4th density vibration. And I think you will love it. This one was really fascinating, and I found it like, really useful even for me. So I think you will love the session. And besides that, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for watching the videos and, liking the video, and because it helps to reach out to people who need it in a spiritual way. Okay, so I am really grateful to all of you, and here is the session, my friends. Enjoy it.
We are the Pleiadians, now communicating from our seat in the planetary sphere in the Pleiadian star system, as referred to by many of your people as the Taygeta planetary sphere. We, as the collective of Pleiadian beings, would like to offer our guidance to the human collective consciousness by providing our thoughts today through this instrument who has placed many queries for the proper understanding of the lessons required for this functioning of the planetary sphere. Hence, before we start to address any of the queries which are in the mind space of this instrument, we would like to warn each one of you who shall offer the hearing of our thought forms to use discernment, as it is vitally important for each one of you to choose only those types of thought forms which provide you with deeper resonance of your mind, body and spirit complex. However, there are many people upon your planet who are well aware of these aspects and are not yet ready for many of the information may seem not for their particular vibration, as everything operates in terms of vibration. The first query, which is in the mind space of this instrument, pertains to: what is the evolutionary cycle after the merger with the one infinite creator in the 8th density consciousness, wherein each entity, once merging with the one infinite creator in the 8th density consciousness, has the ability to firstly fully understand the lessons of one point of consciousness, since each one of you, as you are aware of your own existence in this earth planet, each one of you may realize that you are only capable of becoming conscious of a single point of consciousness, whether it be within your inner self, within your thought forms, or within any portion of your physical bodily complex. Since you are capable of only becoming aware of one point of consciousness, as you begin to merge into the eighth density consciousness, after learning all the lessons of the one-pointed consciousness, lessons required during the lower levels of your existence in the lower densities, you then merge into the one infinite creator, and then enter into the second cycle of the game of the universal lessons of consciousness, wherein you begin to master the ability of learning the lessons of 2 points of consciousness. For example, many of the people upon your planet who experience near-death experiences have felt this aspect to be true, wherein some entities are able to become aware of other points of consciousness simultaneously at the same time, which leads to the understanding that once you are able to enter into the higher sub-octaves of consciousness, you are capable enough to become aware of different points of consciousness, which will allow you a greater clarity of your mind, body, and spirit complex totality. And as you begin to become aware of different points of consciousness at the same time, you also have a great opportunity that you will evolve faster in spiritual essence. However, as you begin to enter higher and higher into the various levels of understanding in the game of universal understanding of consciousness, you begin to realize that there is an infinite number of levels or infinite number of densities in which you can enter into, which leads to the understanding that the universal complex is infinite in number. And as you begin to progress from the second cycle of the learning in the densities, and as you again merge into the one infinite creator, then begins the third cycle, wherein you are capable enough to become aware of 3 points of consciousness at the same time, leading you to understand the lessons of that level of the universal game of consciousness. And finally, after multiple incarnations, as far as we are capable of realizing from the teachings we have received from other density beings, and as far as we are permitted to share with you via the guidance of the Galactic Federation and the Council of Planets, we can only state that this is a infinite level wherein there is no end to your evolutionary cycle. There is no end to the growth of your consciousness level. You become planets, you become universes, and it continues on and on until you find for your own self the true reality of evolution. For we as the Pleiadians also have to experience those realities. Furthermore, we are now going to address the second query, which pertains to what is the purpose of the monoliths which are appearing in your planetary sphere at various locations, which are strategically placed by the extraterrestrials, as many of your people perceive it to be. We as the Pleiadians would like to state that there are different types of monoliths which have been spotted upon your planet as per the scanning as we have performed. The first type of monolith is created by human consciousness, which means that people of your kind who are either working for the entities of the negative or positive nature are trying to create monoliths around the Earth's crust in order to create grids of consciousness to allow the planets to enter into a certain trajectory. However, recently, over the past few years, we have seen an active increase in the number of monoliths which were created by negatively oriented beings who have worked for the creation of monoliths, primarily for the purpose of creating a portal around the Earth's crust in order to allow the entity known as the Luciferian beings to enter into the cycle of this density, since they are outside the galaxy, trapped and unable to access any of the portals which have been closed. There have been many monoliths which have been spotted around your space-time crust of the Earth planet at this current timeline, and these were strategically placed by the negatively oriented beings in coordination with some of the human consciousness who are assisting them. This was done for the purpose of activating the grid of consciousness and creating a portal to allow the negative-oriented beings to have a faster travel time towards and inside your planetary sphere. However, there have also been many other monoliths which were created by the inner Earth beings as a symbol or a sign of communication. These monoliths were created by the inner Earth beings such as the Agarthans and the Lemurians, who are in the form of a social memory complex of the fourth density consciousness. They were created in order to allow the people of your planet the ability to communicate with them using thought forms and telepathic communication in a similar manner as which is occurring currently, which is known by your people as the process of tuning into telepathic vibrational thought forms. However, because of the lack of understanding of many of your people, these were demolished and taken down. Therefore, we as the Pleiadians are now going to address the other query which this entity has placed, which pertains to how can the people of the planet become ready for the new Earth at this current time. In this regard, we the Pleiadians would like to state that the planet of your current Earth space-time is having a surge in the vibration into the positive cycle since the last month of March. As per your space-time measurement terms, there has been a high influx of positive energy upon your planetary sphere, and now in the month of April there will be an even larger influx of positive energy. However, this influx of positive energy will arise from within your inner Earth, as the inner Earth beings such as the Lemurians, the Agarthans, and many of the remnants of the Atlanteans are now working together to assist the human collective. They shall be providing you with the necessary vibration equivalent of New Earth. However, this shall come from within your Earth's crust, hence it is vitally important for the people of your planet to feel the warmth and the love which emanates from within the Earth's planetary sphere. This can be felt by being in communication with the Earth's crust and feeling the energies of love and light which shall begin to emerge from the later portion of the month of April. Hence, we can also suggest that the people of your planet who want to tune into the new vibration must firstly remember to tune their mind complex, which will then automatically tune their body and their spirit complex towards the higher vibration. The process is simply to choose a thought form, such as a word, in your current space-time. For example, we shall share with you an example of a entity who used this experience to enter into the new Earth. There was an entity who was performing many other methods of meditation and other aspects, as this entity was a monk in one of your stations of learning the knowledge as a monk. And this entity, however, despite several tries, was unable to stay at a higher vibration even though it was meditating on a daily basis. The main problem arose when this entity was outside of the meditation room, wherein its thought forms were rampant. Hence, this entity was suggested by a being which it had met during the sleep state to repeat the word New Earth, or to repeat the word love within the mind complex continuously. This monk then took on the challenge of repeating the word New Earth continuously, which allowed the vibration of this new earth to enter into the bodily complex from the mind, which then eventually made its way to the spirit. This allowed this entity to have an instant graduation after a certain period of time. Therefore, the people of your planet can also use this method of tuning into the vibration of a certain thought form continuously, and once the bodily complex has been pre-programmed with the new choice of thought form, and the vibration of the new thought form will allow the entity to then have a greater opportunity to enter into the later vibration of the so-called fourth density consciousness of the new earth, thereby becoming ready for such receivership of the energies which shall come from within the inner earth. We as the Pleiadians would like to state that it was a pleasure connecting today, and go forth, rejoice in the power and peace of the one supreme creator until we meet again. Bye.
Hello my friends, so after watching the session, I hope you have learned many things in this session, and I will explain to you what I have learned from the session. Primarily, what I learned is about how the game of the universe, or it may be considered as a school of the universe, okay, how the school of the universe operates. And in essence, like how we can pass it, or what we can expect when we enter the next density consciousness, right? So we are currently at the fourth density level, and as we begin to ascend higher and higher in our level of understanding of our own true nature, we will reach at a point wherein we will be able to merge with the one infinite creator, and that is known as the eighth density consciousness, okay? So what the Pleiadians, they said is, in this cycle we are only aware of one point of consciousness, right? Now this I found it to be very true, because if you were to just be conscious of where is your awareness, right? Like for example, if I was focusing on this point, right, I can only focus completely 100% on this point. Like if I were to change my focus to some other thing, I need to I cannot be simultaneously aware of this point. So what they said was, we are in the single point consciousness level, okay? If you consider this to be like a school, then we are in the first point of consciousness level. And they said, when we enter into the eighth density and then we reincarnate, we go into the second 2 point of consciousness awareness simultaneously. So at that point we will be aware of 2 points of our consciousness. We can simultaneously keep our attention on 2 points, which is really interesting. And then they said that this is infinite, okay? So I think we become more and more evolved, and we become more aware of different things happening around us. So this is, I think, our evolutionary process. As we go through the levels of consciousness, the different types of animal life forms or human life forms or angelic beings or planets we become, we are just learning how to become more and more aware. So I think this is what the school of universe is all about. And it was really fascinating that it was explained in this manner, which was really clear to understand, because I have experienced it as well when they said it, that this is how it works. And I was like, okay, so now I understand how it's working. All right. The other thing that I found was about how the monoliths were actually possibility of being created by extraterrestrials. And also they said that the Luciferian beings, they were trying to use some human beings who are working for the negative entities to create monoliths around the world, so that they can create a portal in order to enter the planet Earth. And this is their plan, and this is what the Pleiadians have said, they are trying to do this in this planetary sphere. The other thing that they talk about is how the April April will have an energy boost coming from the inner earth. So there are beings from the inner earth like the Lemurians, and there are some beings from the Agarthan community, as well as some from the Atlanteans. They said, I don't know how Atlanteans went inside the earth. Maybe they migrated, I don't know. But what they said was, they are going to send some positive vibrations in the month of April, and then we need to be ready for it, which is very simply explained by a story, wherein there was a person who was struggling with ascension, struggling with maintaining the ascension or maintaining the vibration of fourth density after the meditation. So what was advised by a being was to repeat a word of higher vibration. For example, you can repeat the word ascension, and if you continuously repeat it in your mind, right, like throughout the day, ascension, inside your head, like ascension, 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 your body will like pick up the vibration. And similarly, you can use it for any other method. If you want love in your life, or if you want to feel the love of the fourth density, you can just repeat the word love, love, love over and over again, and your body will vibrate, and then your spirit will also vibrate if you do it over and over again. So this is the process which was explained of how can we like pick up the vibration from a word. And I hope you also like found this session to be really helpful as I found it. And I want to say big thank you to all of you for supporting me on my Patreon, where I am uploading sessions almost on a daily basis. And pretty much like I'm also not only doing sessions on a Patreon, but I'm also like asking certain questions which I cannot ask on YouTube, which is like very which has some different policies to not allow me to post certain things. So I have posted them on a Patreon. And also I want to say big thank you to all of you for like asking me for your past life sessions through my email, and I'm helping you out whenever I get free time. So with that being said, I just want to say big thank you to all of you, and until we meet again in the next session, thank you, my friends.